Welcome back. So picking up from where we left off last week, here you can see Jeff is bonding in the floor braces that go between the two door frames. So you see just doing the cleanup there now, just taking off any extra high sole that got stuck on anything there. And this is a little bit later. He's also bonded in the forward bulkhead there. As you can see, that one didn't take long because it's just basically just the two sort of flange areas there. So that one's in place now, and the next thing to come is to keep prepping up the keel for its placement in there. So there's a few things that still need to go in the keel before we can bond it into place, but you'll see that here shortly. And now that we've freed up some space in the shop, the guys have got a little bit more room to move around. So here's Zach's been sanding on the second one of these upper four-plane skin plugs. And so that's the one there, the left hand side, and the other one behind him, the right hand side, is pretty much done there. So he needs a little bit of work still on the tips there. Jeff's going to be working on those. And here you can see Jeff has gone and bonded in these extra sort of braces there in the keel, and they were sort of an additional thing to help support the cantilever seat mounts and stop sort of any flexing happening on the walls of that, even though it's a cord part. And there you see Jeff's gone and finished off the tips there and smoothed them out. There was actually some sort of hard edges in there that I left in there from the CAD by mistake, and so he's just sort of blended them out, and so it's got a nice smooth transition now from the flat area to the tip. So those are almost getting ready to be primed. And here Jeff also got these ones bolted into place. So those are the aluminum blocks that hold the nose gear in place, and the carbon fiber thing will be bonded into the keel, but that won't be until after the keel goes into the fuselage. So back into the CAD, and I've been working on this pretty much the last 4 days, the weekend included. So anyway, there's the key has been sort of set up there for turning the power on, and there's a landing gear retraction lever. And you see I actually moved the throttles wider apart there, so the retraction lever is easy to reach and not sort of be squashed in between. And that gave room there to put this the controller there for the prop pitch, and I think I've shown that in an early episode. And then I've got buttons on here now that are going to be for the takeoff go around activation in the Garmin in the GTN 750 in case of a go around situation. And what else? Let's see, I moved the USB outlet that was up the front there because it was kind of stuck behind the throttles and wasn't really going to work, so I kind of put it there for now, just above where those the headset jacks are going to be. So that's probably where it's going to end up living. And you can see back here now I've got the Behringer parking brake valve there set up, and I still have to reroute some of those wires just around that a little bit there. And there's the activation lever, and so there's going to be a little arm going from that, or a rod going from that to a little pull handle or push handle, push handle or knob that's going to come right out of the panel there next to the gear lever. So that's how you'll activate the parking brake. And then this knob is for the adjustment for the anti-skid system with the Behringer brakes. So that's the sort of thing that you'll just dial in once and not have to change it, and that allows you to set the maximum pressure that you can push through the brake pedals. So actually, trying to get, or working through getting all the plumbing sorted out for the braking system there, where all the lines are going to run and such. And up around the front here, working on the landing gears, which is a similar type of thing. There's hydraulic lines and electric oil and stuff that need to be sorted out for that. But in the meantime, you see I've got the conduits run here that are running, down the keel. I've got the power lines put in there, main power and ground. And then on this side I've got the static line running through there, and also the electrical for the engine indication and also the boost pump. And over here I've modeled the gear pump assembly. So there's the motor, and underneath that's the reservoir, and in the center is the pump housing. And so I got the hydraulic lines running out of there, and they're running into two different manifolds there which have multiple ports on them, because there's a bunch of things we need to sort of run off of those. And the first thing is these pressure switches. They're going to turn off the system once it's fully locked down or up, depending on which way you're going. And then down here I've got this controller here that allows you to basically switch the power to make the pump go one way or another. And so I've been working on getting the wiring sorted out for that, and there you can see there's the main power that will go over to the motor, and depending on which way that conductor is set, it'll reverse the power there to the motor. And then on the pressure switches there, the wiring runs up through the bulkhead through this 28 pin connector, and that'll find its way to the actual gear switch lever that allows you to put the gear up and down. So I'm getting quite a long way along with the gear, and also with the brake, running the brake lines. It was just kind of like a sidetrack from the work I was doing with the avionics. But I still got more to do on that as well, and with running the rest of the wiring and stuff. Anyway, so back here behind the back of the keel there, I've also got another, if I can reposition, another couple of manifolds there, and so the gear lines will run into those and then split out to the left gear and the right gear to the actual retraction cylinders there. And there's going to be something a little bit similar to that, just running back there for the brakes as well. There'll be hard lines coming back, and then a manifold where it switches over to the flexible soft lines. And here you can see where the 6 different conduits come out there, and there's going to be a little bracket that's going to hold those into place so they don't move around. And they'll sort of be bonded on to the inside of the keel. And there's the boost pump for the engine, and there's the fuel filter that are going to live there, sort of in the baggage compartment a little bit for now. It's just going to be easier to access them. And you see I've also gone and modeled in just the position of where the starter motor is, and I've run the wire for that. So I'm getting through all the different wiring. I've got a big spreadsheet of everything that needs to be connected to everything, and I've also got some other diagrams that came with all the Garmin software. So I'm just working through all those different interconnection diagrams to make sure I've got everything covered, and is just checking everything off as I go down the list. But it's starting to look pretty good, and there's a lot of complexity and stuff involved, but everything is necessary. So anyway, the next step is just to keep finishing off the stuff for the gear and for the brakes, and then continue on the wiring, and then once it's all laid out and I'm happy with it, we can start actually building all this stuff. So anyway, that's our update for the first half of this week, and thanks again for watching.